Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I am so excited to take you along throughout the whole process of making my sourdough sandwich bread recipe. So this recipe starts off the night before around 8 or 9 p.m. I took about a 1/4 cup of sourdough discard that had been sitting in the fridge for several days, and to that, in this big jar, I added about 3.5 cups of organic unbleached all-purpose flour and about 2.5 cups of water. As you can probably tell from my measurements there that I shared, I am not super particular when it comes to weighing or measuring my flour and water ratio. When it comes to feeding my sourdough starter, I just look for this thick pancake batter consistency, and if I feel like it needs a little more flour, I add a little more flour. If I feel like it needs a little more water, I add a little more water. I feel like online there's a lot of recipes that are super particular about measurements for sourdough, but I have found time and time again that it's very forgiving, and as long as you consistently feed your starter, it should be healthy. And yeah, like I said, I just look for that thick pancake batter consistency. You don't want it to be super watery and runny, and you don't want it to be clumpy, but just kind of a smooth and thick pancake batter consistency. Alright, so it is the next morning, and as you can see, my starter has doubled in size. It looks beautiful and nice and bubbly and active, so we are ready to start getting this dough going. Just pull out my KitchenAid and get it set up. I've developed this recipe over time with really just trying out different recipes and just feeling like I needed to tweak them a bit to get the end result that I was desiring. And so these measurements I have found are my favorite way to make this sourdough sandwich loaf. So we start off with 1 cup of active and bubbly sourdough starter. Next, I added 2/3 cup of olive oil. You can totally use melted butter, you can use melted coconut oil, avocado oil, whatever kind of oil you want. I just had the most olive oil on hand, so that's what I used this time. Next, I added a tablespoon of real mineral salt. And you gotta add some sweetener in there, so I did a 1/4 cup of raw honey. I love honey so much, I don't think I could live without honey. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I like to get the mixer going at this point and then start to add my flour cup by cup. I usually add 7 cups, let it mix for a while, and then after it's mixed for a while and it's all incorporated, I turn it off and kind of just poke it with my finger to see how it's coming along. As you can see here, it is sticking to my finger, and so I know that it needs more flour. So I added another cup of flour and let the mixer go for another few minutes until it's super smooth and pulling away from the sides of the bowl. kid has come to visit me in the kitchen. This kid is so cute. All right, so it's been going for 3 to 5 more minutes, and you can see that it's nice and smooth now, and it doesn't stick to my finger when I press it. Just kind of forming it into a ball, and then spread some olive oil around in the bowl, place it back in the bowl and cover with a wet tea towel and let it sit in a warm place, preferably for 8 to 12 hours to long ferment. So I know that not everybody has a stand mixer, so I wanted to test out this recipe using just good old-fashioned hand power to mix this up. And I gotta say, the batch that I mixed with my hands actually turned out nicer than the stand mixer one. I think that's because I mixed it for literally like 8 to 10 minutes, just kneaded it with my hands for 8 to 10 minutes. And that may seem like a long time, but honestly, I don't know. I've looked at recipes before that say knead things for that long, and I was like, oh my gosh, that would take forever. My arms would get so tired. And it is a good arm workout, but like, just turn on a good podcast, turn on your favorite music playlist, and knead away. And it's really not that bad. It passed a lot faster than I thought it would. And this recipe, like I said, it turned out even better than the stand mixer one. I definitely got this incorporated more, and I think that gluten was just activated more because of all the kneadings. So it even raised more than the batch that was done with the stand mixer. You can see that they're both nice and smooth and ready to ferment. So I just, like I said, I cover them with wet tea towels and set aside in a warm place in your kitchen, if you have a warm place in your kitchen, and let them ferment for 8 to 12 hours. I found in the wintertime you can get away with much longer fermenting times for your sourdough bread. Honestly, I feel like it needs longer because the weather is colder and the fermentation happens at a much slower rate. So I always have to make sure that I give myself plenty of time for the fermentation to happen. I would say in the cold months, 8 to 12 hours is pretty ideal. So it has been about 12 hours and this dough is looking nice and puffy. I was so surprised at how much more the batch that I kneaded with my hands raised than the other one, but I'm so glad that I did this little experiment. And now you guys know that you can make this recipe if you don't have a stand mixer. So once your dough is done long fermenting, I pour it out onto a clean surface and cut it in half with my dough blade here. Typically I would like to weigh these on a scale to make sure that each half is completely equal in size, because I am horrible at eyeballing it and usually one loaf ends up way bigger than another. But my scale's battery died right as I was trying to do this. So I just put each half in each one of my hands and kind of just go by the feel of it. If I feel like one half is a little heavier than the other, then I'll just transfer some dough over to the other half. So that is my very professional method of trying to get the dough equal. And it's quite hilarious because I made 4 loaves and one of the loaves was huge. So this is not a very accurate method, but it's what you do when you don't have a scale. And I'm sure there are a lot of people that are better at it than me, but yeah, that's just usually how it goes when I do it. So after you have divided it into 2 equal parts, you lay it flat on a clean surface and just kind of stretch it out into a rectangular form and flatten it out. Try to make it even on all 4 sides and smooth throughout. And then you roll up, and I kind of do like a twist and tuck on the ends, and you kind of just, you'll get a feel for it, just trying to make sure that it's pretty secure and sealed up. I feel like there are so many YouTube accounts where homemakers' kitchens look absolutely pristine and perfect while they're cooking. And I feel like a little bit that a lot of homemaker YouTubers don't show is that when you're cooking everything from scratch for 3 meals every single day, 7 days a week, that creates a lot of dishes and a lot of mess. And sometimes your kitchen will look like this, and that's okay. I guess I just want to show a little reminder that life is not perfect and things are not always perfectly clean, and they don't have to always be perfectly clean. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love a clean kitchen, but sometimes your kitchen is going to look like this, and that's okay. And sometimes you can leave it till morning, or sometimes you'll be up late at night cleaning it up, and that's okay. I guess I just wanted to show a little bit of reality. A kitchen full of dirty dishes to wash means there has been time well spent preparing nutritious meals for your family, and it's just the reality of life, and that's okay. So this is the next morning. The loaves have been sitting in the fridge all night, and they will raise a good bit in the fridge. It just slows the fermentation down a lot, but I have noticed sometimes the loaves are quite puffy when I pull them out of the fridge, which is nice because they don't have to raise as long before I need to bake. I learned this awesome tip from one of my favorite YouTubers, Farmhouse on Boone, that if you're not quite ready to bake your loaf, you can place them in plastic grocery bags, tie them up, and pop them in the fridge, and they'll be good in there overnight, sometimes even for several days. I just needed to wait till the next day, so I popped these in the fridge that night and then pulled them out in the morning and baked them the next day. Okay, we're going.
Alright folks, here's Liz putting the bread in the oven. She's gonna do it. Watch out for Elliot. Little bare-chested kid in January. The shorts.
Now, what was your closing line?
So that's real life in the workhouse, folks.
His voice isn't normally that deep.
Not normally.
But he is normally that cute.
Oh, stop.
I baked these loaves in the preheated oven at 375 for about 40 to 45 minutes, but everybody's oven is different, so I would just say use a thermometer and check after 30 minutes, see where it's at, and you'll know they're done when they reach 200 degrees Fahrenheit internally. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial video for this delicious sourdough sandwich loaf. I hope that you try it and let me know how you liked it. This recipe is definitely a go-to for me, something that I make just about every week for my husband to use for his lunches and breakfasts and French toast and grilled cheese sandwiches and garlic bread and all the things. It really is an excellent loaf of bread to have on hand throughout the week. So I hope you try it, I hope you like it, and the recipe will be posted in the description box below. So head on over there if you want to save it and make it for yourself.
Sown a little grain, like Lebanon, with fruit shall bend. New life the city shall attain. She shall like grass grow and extend. She shall like grass. Long as the sun his name shall last, it shall endure through ages all, and men shall still in him be blessed. Blessed all the nations shall him call. Blessed all the nations shall him call. Now blessed be our God alone, Jehovah God of Israel, for only He has wonders done. His deeds in glory far excel. His deeds in glory far excel. And blessed be his glorious name, long as the ages shall endure. O'er all the earth extend his fame. Amen, amen, forevermore. Amen, amen, forevermore. Amen, forevermore. Amen, amen, forevermore. Amen.
Tichanoc, Svetanoc, Młodość jest, sława swe, sono Marias Jost i Fombri, Svetel dite ja sama spi, nebeski kraskami, nebeski krasigami. Divno je, svečano je, Božka te noci